Caitlin says she's ready, so we can start this edition of the Racin It Out podcast. She's
Come
Caitlin.
on.
I'm Todd. Well, you did. I just said to you before we started, tell me when you're ready and we'll start. You said you were ready, so I'm telling you that
You don't go call me out like that.
No, it's not calling you out. It's the peek behind the scenes of things that not everybody sees. And I have a story about that, as a matter of fact, as well, because this past weekend at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, with the second to last Pinty's race taking place. Terrific weekend, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit. It was a good weekend. All Canadian series running with sports cars and Formula 1600, Nissan Sentra. It was the same as in May on the long weekend Victoria Day. It was an all Canadian weekend as well. And I was really happy that it was another good turnout. Weather was a little bit iffy and everybody didn't know what was going to happen, but it was a nice turnout. And it's great to see such good support of Canadian racing series. So that's the first thing I think we should touch on.
Yeah, we touch on the weekend and how it went and all that stuff. My parents went for the first time. It
was nice to meet your mom.
Yeah,
yeah,
they were very excited to meet you as well. They saw somebody walking around. They're like, "Is that Todd?" I'm like, "No, that's Todd. Do you want to go meet him? Because I can find Todd."
Yeah,
Todd's easy to find. Todd is around here somewhere. And then I called your name 5 times, and it was just like,
I didn't hear you. There were engines running and it's loud, and I didn't hear you. And I apologize when you came over and introduced, but it was nice. It was nice to meet them. So that was good. Yeah. So,
but I will proudly say that I have changed my stepfather's mind on road courses. He used to think they were the bane of racing existence, and now that he's been to CTMP, which what a facility to go.
Oh yeah,
it in of itself is just like peak like racing facility. He is now a road, I won't say he's a road course fan, but he will for sure be returning to CTMP.
He's not anti road course anymore.
He's not.
Good. It was
road
nice.
Course.
That's it. I think that's something that I try to look at, whatever the series is, whether it's races on ovals, races on road course, street course, whatever. I want to try to find something that I can embrace and get behind and understand. Some are all ovals, that's fine. Some are road courses, that's fine. I like to see competitive action and racing wherever it is. So my story is, this weekend, as I said, there were multiple series and multiple Canadian series, which was great. I was working 2 different series. I did the NASCAR Pinty series, and I was also working on the Sports Car Championship Canada, which concluded their season this year. And congratulations to Jeremy Daniel and to Zachary Vanier, who are the TCR and GT4 champions. So the way the schedule was lined up is the Pinty's race concluded, and then the sports car race was on the schedule as the final event of the day. And I was both back to back. So here's the behind the scenes stuff. What you do between events is it's usually a pretty quick hustle, because they like to keep the track action moving, so you don't have a lot of time. We get to victory podium, and I do the interview with Marc-Antoine Cameron, who was the winner of the race on the weekend. And great, congratulations. And Dean, my camera guy, and I were wrapped up. I glance at the time. It's 5 minutes to 3 o'clock. The sports car race is scheduled to begin at 3:30. We're golden. We've got lots of time. Everything is great. He and I move over, hop into the golf cart that we're going to take down to the sports car garage. Now, planning in advance, I put a change of clothes into the golf cart, because I have to change out of my NASCAR fire suit into another wardrobe.
Todd's done this before. He's thinking ahead.
I have done this before. I did not have to change in pit lane, which I have done on more than one occasion, but this time I didn't have to. However, up in the golf cart, we zip down, and as we are arriving in the sports car paddock, one of the officials, I think it was Trevor Lamas, who's hollering at me and says, "Hey, we're going to start early. We're going 15 minutes early." Still, we got
decent amount of time.
We're okay.
Yeah.
We've got time. So Dean immediately jumps out and he starts shooting, because you need some pre-race video and stuff. And I'm getting changed. I get out of my fire suit and discover the golf shirt I am supposed to be wearing for the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada is not in the bag that I had packed. Okay, this is a problem, because probably shouldn't stand on camera, bare chested. So I leave the paddock. I sprint back, huffing and puffing, to our home base where our setup is, the production setup is.
Is that the trailer in the Pinty's paddock?
The RV in the Pinty's paddock, yes. I start rifling through things, and I find my shirt has fallen out of my bag as I was packing it up. It's laying there. Pick it up, throw it on, and run back. Got back though with about 6 minutes to spare, so everything was fine. But yes, that was my oops, almost had an issue there story.
Little bit of a jog, little bit of a hustle, but you got it in.
Huffing and puffing, but yes, they'll tell you that going to the gym for cardio off on the weekend.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I did my cardio for the week. Done.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's right. So, but it was a good weekend though. I thought
it was amazing.
Turnout was great. Racing action was good. A lot of excitement and drama, and
I actually had people complaining that it was boring.
The Pinty
have
series?
Have you ever seen a Pinty series at CTMP that was boring?
No.
I feel like we've gotten ourselves into a rut where if there isn't action in that final turn between the leaders, people consider the race boring.
And that's unfortunate. That goes back, I think, a few years to the first Truck Series race, where it's, if you don't punt someone out of the way, then it's not a dramatic finish. But I find that's an unrealistic expectation to expect a last lap pass on every race. It just doesn't work that way. Sometimes there's someone that has a dominant car and the field. Other times it's much closer. Sometimes it's a strategy play. Sometimes weather has an impact. Sometimes all of the above. Yeah,
I'm sorry. If we had raced in the rain on Sunday, pretty sure Kevin would have been the one that was just out front dominating the field.
Oh, quite possibly, yes. Now, there wasn't the last lap pass, whether it was a nudge with the bumper or not. But going back to the beginning of the race, after lap 10, 11, I think it was, cars started coming in for pit stops for fuel.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that was plenty action packed because I was running.
The pit stops in CTMP are always action.
It's fantastic. And somebody left with a gas can attached. That happens occasionally. And then
CTMP and GP3R.
And then we had a caution fall right after pit stop started. So that impact drivers. So I will disagree respectfully with those that thought that was a boring race.
Yeah, there's also that struggle too of like people that think a race is boring if there's no flips, if there's no crashes, if there's none of this. It's like, if you're there to watch a race to see that stuff happen, I'm sorry, you're going to be very disappointed with 90% of the races that you watch. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna, do we get those unrealistic expectations? And I'll point the finger at one of my industries, is television, by some of the promos for races that we run, which is 30 seconds of crash footage.
Well, a friend of mine had pointed out that NASCAR Trucks still uses the John Hunter Nemechek and was it Cole Custer were crashing across the finish line in their promos, and they don't even race at CTMP.
Right.
It's just a good finish.
There's still the famous photo of Kerry Mix and Andrew Arranger,
GP3R,
who are on look like two turtles mating on top of each other. That still gets used. That still gets dragged out on a regular basis. And I can appreciate that. It happened. It was dramatic as hell. Yeah. Especially post-race when the two were, let's say, conversing about the incident.
That's the PG version of what they actually did.
There weren't a lot of 4-letter words, but it was intense. It was heated, and understandably so, because your adrenaline is running full speed. Your blood pressure is about 300/20, and that's just what happens at that point in a race. So I have no issue with that at all, but it's the unrealistic expectation. I mean, if I went to a race, I don't care what series it is, and I watched drivers first, second, third, battling for position, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, doesn't matter, battling for position. There wasn't a caution period and the whole race, I'd be very satisfied. I want to see racers racing for position. That's why I go to watch. That's what excites me about it.
Yeah, that's the same thing that excites me about it too. And I think that's the same thing that excites a lot of racing fans. And I say racing because, you know, there are people that are like, I'm a NASCAR fan. And I mean, I feel like it's a stereotype, but like NASCAR fans there for the drinking and the hollering and the watching the flips. And like, it's, if you're a true racing fan, you're there for the battles. You're there for the strategy. You're there for the setups. You're there for everything that goes into what's making the car dominant or not. You're there for all of that. So you're not as phased as much when you have propaganda, I guess, thrown at your face by television. But then that's to say as well, I would much rather watch a race at Daytona than Kansas.
And that's a personal preference. But here's what I was going to say is you're right. I think all of those things are important in terms of racing and watching and understanding. And I'm not one, never have been, who's there just to see someone crash.
Right.
But I also can't deny that driver and being as close to it as you and I have the good fortune to get, you understand they are on the brink of crashing every lap, every race.
Yeah.
And that is what gets me excited about it, and understanding that they can do this and drive that fast and maneuver these cars in such tight quarters, understanding that they are on the brink of disaster on every lap.
Well, that's why I love Daytona and Talladega so much, is because it's organized chaos for
I sort of a love-hate with both of those.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do. But it's the beauty of getting to watch 40 cars go 3 wide like this. And it's just like, it just sends chills down my spine as a racing fan to see that. But then it's like I can go to like an F1 track, and just the excitement and the atmosphere of the F1 track is enough to send chills down my spine. And like same with Pinty's. It's like there was very few moments in racing where it's like I get those butterflies now. And it's like I almost always feel those butterflies at GP3R. It's like, especially this year with Gannett winning, it was like, oh man, first, like that race was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it's like getting to see that emotion on his face of like his first NASCAR Cup Series win, Pinty Series win. And it's just like, and he's been like here for some years, gone for a few, and then after all these years to finally get a win. And he's been very fast and successful at a lot of tracks. It's like that emotion and that excitement, and it's just all of that. Anytime you could replicate that in any series, any type of racing, any track, you're golden.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it's just the genuine excitement, the genuine thrill. It's when the excitement or the drama is manufactured that I tend to struggle with it. I find you're trying to well, you can talk about wanting races to end under a green flag. It doesn't happen all the time, and I was okay with it. And now I understand the desire to always end under a green flag, because you want drivers competing and you want teams competing right to the end. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way. I don't think that you should try endlessly to make a race finish under green. If there was a limit on the number of attempts at a green flag finish, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to be there till freaking 3 o'clock in the morning doing like 20 overtime attempts. Look
at Daytona a couple of weeks ago.
No, yeah.
This caused millions of dollars in damage to cars. It's just endless. No, it's you don't have to end up under green every time. So I find that a bit frustrating.
Well, I mean,
even if you want to, even if you want to wade into the discussion of the playoff in NASCAR, I'd be okay if it wasn't a playoff.
Really?
I remember back when, because we're of a slightly different age group. Chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. But but and I remember how it became for some reason a problem that Matt Kenseth only won one race in 2003. So the next year they changed.
I'm sorry. Wasn't it 2 years ago that Matt Crafton didn't win a race and won the championship?
This is what I mean. It doesn't guarantee
same coin.
The outside.
Yeah.
2 years, and I looked it up 2 years later, Matt Kenseth won 5 races and he finished in the top 10, I think 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
Some guy named Jimmy Johnson beat him for the championship because, he's pretty good. It doesn't always work out that way. And I do believe that consistency all season should play a significant role in who the champion is.
Right. And it's unfair that, you look at somebody like if you were to say last year Kyle Larson didn't, and this is where I'm okay with the playoff, because it's once you reach the playoffs, it is kind of based on points. If you're not winning during the playoffs, as long as you are getting consistent finishes, you will end up in the top 4. Because they have formatted it in such a way that, there is a room for one person to enter each round based on points.
Okay. So I'll go along with your premise.
Okay.
Explain to me in a simplistic fashion the NASCAR point system.
Ours or Cup?
Cup.
I don't know.
Well, that's what I mean. I think it is unnecessarily complicated.
Ours is also unnecessarily complicated.
No, I think Pinty's is quite straightforward.
Matt and I were actually having a discussion about this because, and we'll discuss this next episode because politics, where our point system in Pinty's maybe could be manufactured differently to allow it to have less pre-finale clinch, because less predictable. Exactly. It's I remember back to my first season, it was Alex Labay. All he had to do was start the race.
Right.
So it's
but again, that happens sometimes. Sometimes you have a driver who has a really good year.
That is very true. But when was the last time Pinty's had a close finish? This is going down to the wire. Not in the 5-6 years I've been in Pinty's. There's been, I think the closest we've had since I started was 2019 with Lacroix and Ranger, and it would have been much closer if Lacroix hadn't battled so hard at New Hampshire.
1 year ago, Alex Tagliani was leading the championship going into the last 3 races at Delaware Speedway. Alex Tagliani didn't win the championship.
Yeah, but that was 3 races. That's one track.
Yes, it was, but it was over. Now and that's the cockeyed part about last year and the year before is you kind of have to go back to the pre-pandemic, and start to examine it. But it hasn't been a foregone conclusion for every year. And again, sometimes that happens. But I mean, 1 point for, gaining 1 point for every position you gain is about as simplistic a point system as you can get. And you get a bonus for winning, leading a lap, and leading the most laps. I think that's pretty straightforward and uncomplicated.
I think.
But this whole stage points, and then we eliminate guys, and then we give points for it's just you
have to, if you win, you're immediately in the playoffs, and then
except in February, which has 28. If we have too many winners, then but that's what I mean. It's just
a lot of caveats, a lot of asterisks, a lot of.
It's like a legal document.
Yeah.
So
very true.
Again, I
remember reading it when they were first announcing it, and I couldn't figure it out.
My eyes glazed over. Yeah, it's crazy. So
it's
I think you want to be as inviting and inclusive as possible, and making your championship point system as simple as possible to understand, I think goes a long way. Now, this is not a NASCAR exclusive thing either. You can find this in other series as well. But I think it should be as straightforward and simple and as clearly publicized and promoted as it should be as well.
100%. And it's I've had that caveat with Pinty's before, where if you're not in the industry, you don't know what the point system is.
Right.
You don't know how many get, you can kind of figure it out based on looking at the points. But I didn't know what the point system was until I got a rule book in my face. But do you think more series should adopt F1's point system of if you finish beyond this position, you don't get points.
Even more restrictive in Formula One. They've expanded the points to, it used to be, I believe it was just the top 6 drivers that received championship points. And again, I would be, again, if it's easy to understand, if it's a fair championship point system, whether you're giving points to the first 10 drivers or 15 drivers or whatever, I don't think it really matters. If you're finishing 15th to 20th in a 20-car field of Formula One on a consistent basis, you're not winning the championship.
No.
So whether you have 0 points or 5, I don't think makes a great deal of difference.
Right. I just wonder if it would make a bigger difference in Pinties or like more local touring, like you look at like ARCA mods, stuff like that. If you were to introduce that, so that days when, Lacroix has a really, really bad day or Cameron has a really, really bad day, it's a serious championship implication. You're not just getting, you're not missing out on 20, like, you finished last, you still get 20 points, but no, you miss out on like 20 points.
Here's
That's
the other
huge.
part. If you're giving points to the top 10 in the field and you're running 11th or 12th, how hard are you going to push mid-pack to try to get at least 1 point?
If you're a championship contender a lot.
Right.
It's like
exactly.
if you're a championship contender or the championship leader and you're really trying to push, and I wouldn't put it at like top 10. I would put it like, depending on like what your average car count is, it's like for Pinties, I would put it more towards like maybe 15. It's like the top 15 get points. And then anything below that, it's like, if you wreck out, if you don't like, if you have a mechanical failure, stuff like that, it's like, you're being dinged so much anyway, we'll just ding you a little bit more.
I'm okay with that. I think it should be very hard to win. It is hard to win. I'm not trying to dismiss that. If you're going to be a champion, it's a hard thing to accomplish. And it really is, again, no matter what the point system is. But if it's even more challenging by something like that, I can get on side with that.
Yeah, and it goes back to consistency. You're being rewarded for consistency.
Yes.
If you don't flunk out of the race the entire season, you're getting points.
Right.
It's like you're being rewarded for being consistent.
I'm good with that.
Okay, I'll pitch it. Nice.
Okay, so I think this has got legs. I think this is something you and I can dive into a little bit.
We'll just start our own series.
Okay. Well, I don't know that that's a good business decision, but but we can chew on this a little bit more, maybe over an adult beverage over the weekend in Delaware with the last event, which again, no matter how close or the champion is to clinching, but there are battles for second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way down through as well. That's the other part, is everyone gets hung up on
the winner.
So that's the champion.
Yeah.
But look at what has happened. And again, it's like I want to see racing, whether it's 5th and 6th, whether it's 10th and 12th. It's the same thing with the championship. There's opportunities for people.
Yeah. It's like, okay, yes, you haven't won a championship. Ouch. But you look at Kevin Lacroix, who has finished second in the championship 4 times. It's like that itself is a marketing point. That's a name you want to put yourself behind and be like, we are sponsoring somebody who is going to win a championship one day.
Sure.
It's like, you can see he's consistent. You can see he wins races. Yes, he's not a champion yet, and it was the same thing with Jason Hathaway as well, where he had finished second so many times. It's like, this is a driver you can get behind. Yes, he has not won the championship yet, but he is still consistent. He is still victorious. He is still a championship contender every single year.
This is the same argument that other sports have. Is like, there's only one championship trophy. There's only one every year, but there's a lot of other talented people that are just not only driving the race car, but working as crew chiefs or working on teams and being part of a championship caliber team, if you will. They just didn't happen to win it. Kevin's won at least 3 races this year.
Same as Mark.
Yes. But it's, only one of them is going to be the champion.
Yeah. It's like Kevin just had maybe one more bad day than Mark.
And that's the consistency part that needs to be
Exactly.
rewarded as well. So see, we've just
Exactly.
sorted this all out
Yeah.
again as usual. But I'm looking forward to the championship weekend though at Delaware Speedway. That's very quickly become a real event happening at the end of September.
Yes, it's one of the, and I like it for Delaware because they've got 3 championship events all in one weekend, and they're making it a whole show where they have a band, like a big concert Thursday night, like they have the
Right.
Reclaws and
yeah, I can't remember either.
I can't remember
it escapes
either.
me, and I feel bad because I like country music. But yeah, anyhow.
Well, it was the band. I'm pretty sure it was the band that sang that song that Joel had used as the Pinty's promo one year, and it is my favorite song he's ever used. He could use it every single year and I wouldn't care. It's the like, it's about to get good, we'll have to go down.
Yeah.
You don't remember? Damn it. But it's that band.
James Barker Band, the Reclaws, and Gord Bamford. There, I just looked it up.
But they've got that Thursday night, and then they've got Superstock Championship, Quick Look Championship.
Yeah.
Friday night, APC Saturday night. And then
it's a pretty good weekend.
Yeah. So it's like, if you like racing and you like championship events and you like action, go to Delaware the weekend of the 25th. You really can't go wrong.
Yeah, it'll be a very satisfying weekend. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to spend the weekend there. Now, we should think about this, and I'm just hitting you with this cold. Do you have any food stories to relay on this pod? Because we know we haven't really talked about food yet, and that's something. And I have had comments from people when we didn't mention food on a previous podcast. Hey, you didn't talk about in restaurants or food or anything you went to. So
people want it. Nice.
Clearly they want good recommendations. And in fact, it was Bill who gave me a recommendation for a burger place that I've forgotten the name of it now, but I'm going to have to go try it. So yeah. Anyhow.
Where have we been? Oh, we went to Three Amigos in Laval when we stayed for iCar.
Yes. Great.
They had a 7-ounce margarita. I didn't have it, but one of our team members did.
You don't need to have a lot of those, do you?
Yeah. It was like $40, and it was like massive.
Giant fishbowl drinks.
Yeah, it was huge, and it came on like a long stem, so you're just like picking it up, and there's this like giant like wine stem sticking out of it, just drinking it like that. No straw, nothing.
Those are awesome.
The tacos were really good too.
Good. Nice.
Where else did we go? I don't think we really did anything for CTMP. I guess we haven't done a podcast since pre GP3R.
And that's exactly it. So I will do a shout out to a restaurant I went to that's called Buvette. It's in Burlington. Last fall we went to New York, and my girl searched out a place that said, "Oh, this looks like a really good place." So we went in New York, and it was sensational. It was fantastic. Went there for lunch, and then noticed that the owner on the description of the restaurant was inspired by the place in New York. So has opened. They're not affiliated, but was inspired. Drinks are sensational. All the food is sensational. It's fantastic. So it's called Buvette, but it's very
I'll
good.
have to take that recommendation the next time I go to Burlington. I would like to shout out to my roommates who during COVID made me breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day.
Oh, solid.
And would do them up all nice and pretty and like make them look nice and plated. I was like, the first couple of times I was like, oh, this is really nice.
That's very nice. That's very nice. I would like
to shout them out.
Okay.
Because like I said, we haven't had a podcast episode recording since GP3R.
Yeah.
And
you and I both had COVID since then.
Yep. Over Rush Weekend. So if you're wondering why Clinton Jeffrey was doing the broadcast for Rush Weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because neither of us could be there. So, well then, shout out to my mom and dad who delivered food too. So.
Oh, we love the people in our lives.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Went to a good steakhouse. I can't remember the name of it in Trois Rivières. It's right on the strip.
Okay.
A lot of people went there.
The Grill?
Yeah. The Grill.
It's fantastic.
Amazing espresso martinis, amazing creme brulee,
Nice.
good bread. Where else was I that? Oh, I went to the Cheesecake Factory with my mom the other week.
Good.
Love Cheesecake Factory.
So, all right. So if you've got recos for London and Delaware vicinity,
I
we've got
already
a couple
know where
weeks.
I'm going.
No, I'm to those that are watching and listening and maybe want to hit us on our social channels. Say we are open to any good suggestions for food, drink, and stuff. Please feel free to send them our way.
Also, things that are open past 9 o'clock, please, because the last time Todd and I were there, where did we end up going? There was one place open.
There was the only place open on a Sunday night. Yeah, so
like
that
Lone
was
Star or something.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the Lone Star, but yes, it was yeah.
Yeah, the only thing opened on a Sunday night past, and I think it was literally like 9 o'clock at night, and everything was closed. I will be going to the all-you-can-eat sushi restaurant. Thank you very much.
Oh, tell me more.
Did you not go to the all-you-can-eat sushi restaurant last year?
No, I'm in.
It was right next to our hotel, Todd. Or you stayed in the hotel that was like right next to ours, but it was like right next to the Sheraton.
I had no idea. Okay, I'm in for sushi this year. Yeah, I was not aware. I love sushi. Yeah, good sushi for sure.
It was good sushi. It had like the whole like sushi. Oh. So my roommates and I have like 3 birthdays coming up between like October and middle of October to November, like over the span of like 2.5 weeks. And it's 2 of ours that have birthdays back to back, and then like literally 2 weeks later, my birthday. I'm gonna pitch hot pot to them.
There you go.
I think we did it last year too, around the same time. But it's just I don't know why. Oh yeah, because I was mentioning the sauce bar. They have the sauce bar at the all-you-can-eat sushi place in London. So I was like, sauce bar. I want hot pot.
Okay.
We like all-you-can-eat sushi. All-you-can-eat sushi in London. And then please send us recommendations.
Yeah, at Racin It Out, Twitter, Insta, whatever. Just send us the recommendation. So,
please.
Am I doing the disclaimer?
Do you not like doing the disclaimer?
No. I'm just asking. I'm this is a mutual production. So if you want to do it, I'm happy. I think you just
do it so well.
Okay, you're deferring. All right. The thoughts, ideas, opinions on this podcast are those of the individuals, Caitlin and Todd, and do not represent the views, ideas of NASCAR Pinty Series, NASCAR and TSN Rev TV, anybody else that we may be currently affiliated with or affiliated with in the future, anything that could get us in trouble with our employers or contractors that we work with. This is strictly a discussion for fun, be enthusiastic and inclusive about racing. It's not meant to get us in trouble. How's that?
Perfect. Yes. Our discussion about the point system, while we think is fantastic, theoretical.
It's exactly. It's an idea that we can explore. It's
exactly.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's not meant to bitch or be super critical about everything, because there's far too much of that in our world. It's true. It's to initiate discussion and hopefully thought-provoking ideas. Maybe there's a better way, and talking about it and looking at it is the only way to find it.
Yeah, it's like the only way you're going to see if, okay, maybe the point system is broken. Maybe the playoff system in Cup is too hard to explain to people. Maybe because, you try explaining that to a new fan. Like I brought my roommates to Toronto, and they're like, oh, like, how does the championship work? I'm like, well, in our series, it's just like points, but in Cup, we have playoffs. And they're like hockey? It's like, yeah.
You need a calculus degree. Yeah.
But it's all just fun discussions, and anything in life, the only way you're going to learn and grow is by opening up those discussions and seeing what can be different and what doesn't belong.
Right. It's okay to ask a question, and there's people that still use the expression, I have a stupid question, but and I always correct. It's like, there are no stupid questions. There are no dumb questions. It's not true. If you don't know, you're doing the right thing by asking.
And it's also just like benefit of the doubt to the person that they just have a different perspective on something. If someone comes to you and is like, is the sky blue? You can be like, of course the sky's fucking blue. It's like, you don't know what their perspective is in life. Maybe they were told their entire life it was green, and that's what green looked like. Or maybe they're colorblind.
Exactly. I was just going to mention
You have no idea.
Yeah. People are going through stuff. So
Man.
be kind, be considerate.
Yeah. And that is
All
the
right.
perfect way to wrap up this episode of Racing It Out. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you post-championship Delaware.